Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The close range meta here in Warzone Season 5 is extremely competitive for the most part. Some of the weapon balancing updates that we saw changed around a couple of weapons that just made things even more competitive, which honestly, you love to see. So today we are breaking down the best weapons, the best setups you want to be using specifically for those close range based engagements. And we're starting first with an obvious one, the ISO 45. I mean, we all know this thing fries. If there is a true #1 SMG, it is this and the Lachmann sub were right there, like neck and neck last season. Then of course they slightly nerfed the Lachmann sub with Season 5 while not nerfing the ISO, surprisingly. So this one definitely stands out the most to me, but all the options here today are super competitive with one another, and it kind of depends on what you are the most comfortable with overall. If you shoot straighter with the MP5 or the Vaz over the ISO, you might want to pick, one of those. But as far as the ISO setup goes, I'm staying with what works, and this setup has been frying for me for a while. I'm using this in ranked, resurgence, standard Al-Mazrah, you name it, it's putting in the work. 45 round drum, sheer rear grip for the better mobility, ADS and sprint to fire and what have you. Cheetah stock, it's got the sprint speed, crouch speed, strafe speed, ADS speed, all things you love to see increased on an SMG loadout. 7mm laser for the better ADS and sprint to fire, and then some consistency with the recoil control on the KT85. This will help out some with the vertical and the horizontal and just make the weapon a lot more predictable and easy to use, in my opinion. Phenomenal setup, and of course one that we've talked about several times. Now, as mentioned, the Vaznev is another great choice here in Season 5 as well. Didn't really see any major nerfs, and this setup's one that's been working for some time too. As they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This applies to the Vaznev. It just applied to the ISO as well. But we're going for the 45 round mag here, the True Tac rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire, of course. The Atrazat stock in this case for that better strafe speed and sprint speed. Olay laser, the same equivalent as 7mm, of course. Then the Cas one, just to extend that first damage range. That's really all I care about there, because this is a bit of a steeper drop off as opposed to some of the other subs. So getting that slightly better damage drop off in that first damage range could really save you in some close range engagements. So that's a pretty clutch attachment. And of course, this setup in general is nice and speedy and super easy. And no surprises here. The MP5, as mentioned, also sort of a part of that big three, I guess you could say, between the Vaz, the MP5, and the ISO. Those are what I would say are, LeBron, Wade, and Bosch of Warzone right now. But here, another pretty standard setup, the 50 round drum, sort of the go-to for Warzone here. TCG 10 rear grip offers some better control, but I just go ahead and I tune for that better ADS and sprint to fire, so I'm still getting some good mobility out of this in general. I like overpressured ammo on this setup in particular a lot, just because you don't really need a muzzle. None of the stocks are doing all that much. Underbarrels are pretty useless on most subs, so you can get away with using ammo here, and getting that extra flinch is pretty clutch because it can cause enemies to miss some shots. 7mm laser yet again, then Falcon barrel for that better movement speed and ADS speed, just making this overall setup even more snappy, even more aggressive, and that's mainly what you want to focus on for SMGs in this game. A weapon that I'm super happy actually got a buff with Season 5 is the Vel, because this is one that I've loved all throughout the year, but it's just kind of been a standard SMG. Now it's definitely one you want to focus on. For the mid-range, this thing fries, and up close, it's still pretty competitive as well. It's just a very well-rounded sub right now. So here, I go for the 50 round mag. That's totally sufficient for all squad sizes. I don't feel like you have to jump up to 60, but if you wanted to, it's not going to be like the end of the setup, right? Soldier rear grip for the better movement, RXT stock for the better movement, 7mm laser for the better movement as well. Then we got KT85 on here too, again just for that mid-range to make things a little bit more consistent. This thing is honestly a laser beam. It's super straightforward, very easy to use, very minimal recoil while having great TTK stats and really good mobility. I've also really been vibing with the Hurricane lately, ever since last season when it got that damage profile update. It's now also really good up close and in the mid-range as well, putting the work right there next to the MP7 and the upcoming P90 so this is a really good choice. Also super straightforward and easy to use. It's got that 50 round mag by default. We do throw on the KT85 again just for that little bit of recoil control, but then we're going mobility again. Olay laser, the Quicksilver stock, you could go all the way for collapse, but it is going to have some more recoil, so just keep that in mind. It depends on how good you are with this weapon if you want to upgrade to that. X10 rear grip, ADS and sprint to fire, then overpressured ammo on here as well for that induced target flinch to cause those enemies to miss more shots. You're going to be landing shots, they're going to be in the gulag, you're going to be moving on to your next squad to take out. And by the way, as we're breaking down all the setups here today, if you guys are new to the channel, I got you covered on a daily basis with meta breakdowns, news, patch notes, you name it, it's all going to be right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and if you guys enjoy the video, if you find it helpful it all, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. As I just mentioned, the P90 or the PDSW is still frying for that mid-range. It's also one of the speediest weapons in the game, which to me is what makes it stand out because you can go all in on mobility here. Now that said, I do like to still favor some control here for the mid-range, and that's why once more I'm using the KT85 compensator on there, but then everything else is all mobility based. 7 milliwatt laser for the ADS and sprint to fire. The light rail is just simply focused on general movement speed, which is awesome. You love to see that. Q900 rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire, and just behind the face cam I've got the TV Tacom comb for better ADS and sprint to fire. So this thing is flying, which I love. It's also very straightforward to use as well, so you can't go wrong with this. This is a low risk, high reward type weapon. I also think there's a spot for the BAS-P in the close range meta right now after it got some buffs, and there's a bunch of different ways you can build this out. You can throw on different stocks to, increase mobility. You could throw on a barrel to extend its efficiency in the mid range. This setup is relatively straightforward and I find it pretty easy to use. I don't really love the iron, so I've been rocking the blue dot. That's pretty standard for me for close range. 7 milliwatt laser yet again, overpressured ammo as well. Then I go for the 50 round drum in the Bruin flash rear grip for that better ADS and sprint to fire. This is gonna just be a very snappy setup overall, but to me the entry barrier is pretty low. That skill gap for this thing is pretty low. Anyone's gonna be able to pick this particular build up and do well with it. Now, SMGs aren't the only thing in the close range meta right now. The Chimera or the Honey Badger actually just got a close range buff with Season 5, so this 100% falls into this. I do have a different build that's more of like a sniper support over on my COD community page if you want to check that out, but this is my close range, just specific build that's going to be really aggressive and really snappy, and I really like the feel of this. Bruin flash rear grip, the 45 round mag, 7 milliwatt laser, all pretty standard options there. Then I go for the Vorpal barrel, better movement speed and ADS speed, so you're going to speed this up and sort of mimic more of like an SMG style hybrid build here. And then for the last attachment, I'm kind of torn because you can do a lot. I go for a Tango underbarrel just for some mid-range consistency. You could swap that to a compensator though if you wanted to. If you wanted even more mobility, you could throw on the M13 stock or the Ravage 10 stock. There's a lot of options for that fifth and final attachment. All of them are going to work well because this is just a very well-rounded, very dominant gun up close. The 74U also falls right in line with the Chimera there as well. There's also a couple of different ways you can build this. The standard stuff, I got the 45 round mag per usual there. True tack rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire, just speeding it up to mimic an SMG some more. Atrazat stock, same deal with the better mobility, and Olay laser yet again. Now, the barrel is where you can really build this out to be the weapon that you want it to be. For me, I'm liking the mobility of the 209 barrel. I like the snappiness for resurgence gameplay. This is phenomenal for close range because it's going to be more of an AR SMG hybrid. If you wanted to focus more on like the sniper support side of things though, upgrade to the KSTV barrel, tune that for like range and velo and whatnot, and that's going to be a really good sniper support option, but obviously it's going to slow it down some for the close range, so that might not be effective for the particular gunfights that we're focused on with this video. But either or, you can't go wrong. This is a really solid weapon. And then unfortunately, as much as I dislike using this, there's no denying that the broadside is still a part of the close range meta. It's like the super close range meta because, outside of 8, 9, 10 meters, this isn't going to be doing as much, but within those 10 meters, it's tough to beat this thing in a one-on-one because you can just spam it. It's so low skill, high reward in the close range engagements that it's just annoying, right? So we got the stockless stock here for better mobility, true tack rear grip for that ADS and sprint to fire, the super toxic but deadly duo of 25 rounds, and then the Dragon's Breath. Then I go for the range 12 barrel just to extend that range a little bit. That could help you get some faster kills up close and, avoid going into that second damage drop off or that initial damage drop off, I guess you could say, outside of that close range area. So it's annoying, but it does work, unfortunately. And that being said, that is the current close range meta breakdown here for Season 5 of Warzone, and that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful at all, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out to always guarantee you're up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.